Hello everyone, this is Leo from the Monkeys Making Misplaced channel, and today we want to talk about something that we believe is a glaring issue in the game and what we would use as the answer to this issue, and that is the amount of defensive options currently in the game. Currently, numbers of attacking units are getting insane, with things like Orphist attacking for upwards of 50k a turn, Chrono Jets, Messiah being able to use the Crest, being incredibly powerful decks with a lot of power behind them. And it seems like a lot of decks are falling behind because they aren't able to defend themselves. They have no way of properly guarding some of these attacks, right? And I've also learned that even though there is defensive options available to most clans or most decks, people don't want to play cards that don't do anything. People want to be aggressive towards the game state. They don't want to be defensive, right? And so we have come up with a idea that would be very interesting to implement. I think currently it might be a little bit underpowered, but if Bushiroad were to implement it and support it, it could get very, very interesting. And our answer to the lack of defensive options in Vanguard is something we've come up with called the Blitz Deck. The Blitz Deck is a set of 4 Blitz orders that will start outside of your deck that are grade 0, 1, 2, and 3. These cards count towards your 4 of card counts, so you can't play 5 of any single Blitz order. So there have been quite a few Blitz orders that got printed in set 11, I believe, which are very decent. You would not be able to play 5 of them. You would only be able to play 3 in your main deck because 1 is still counted towards that count in your Blitz deck. And another thing is you are able to use a Blitz order as long as you've reached the grade for the Blitz order. For the grade 0, I would say that we could use the old Quick Shields as the card in there, unless your deck has another choice, another option. I know Dragon Tree has a grade 0 Blitz order, and I believe Celestial does as well. I can't remember. I've looked them up, and I have some of them pulled up here, but I'm not sure. But besides that, I would say, hey, let's use the Quick Shields. They're Blitz orders, right? They have been what is it called? They're pretty much not used as much outside of V Premium. This would give your Quick Shields an extra use, maybe buff up the prices of some of them. You know, maybe some people would be more interested in buying stuff to get those Quick Shields, right? But unlike in V Premium, these cards will not go to your hand. These cards are outside of the game, and they are essentially a one-time use card that you cannot get back, right? So once you use a card from the Blitz deck, or from the Blitz deck, it will return back to the Blitz deck, but face up instead of face down, right? So you'll be able to keep track that now the card has been used. Another card that I would suggest being allowed to be played in the Blitz deck would be Elementaria Sanctitude. This is because I believe that some of the strongest decks moving forward will be the Strike deck sets. We've seen Shiranui can put out some insane numbers. Chrono Jet is still a very valid contender. Messiah as well, keeping up in the rear end. So I believe giving everyone access to a PG and essentially giving everyone access to a free PG against some of these Strike deck sets will maybe even up the battlefield for some of them, right? I think this would be probably another very impactful card in the grade 3 slot for the generic options. I believe a lot of people would choose to play Evergreen Transfer, which is the Regardless Piece Blitz order that says play this with Soul Blast 1, choose one of your units, and you get 25k power until end of that battle. Then you choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets all of your opponent's units with 100 million or more get -1 crit until end of turn. This makes this card way better than it is currently. I think the issue with it currently is that how likely are you to have this and the OT pop up in a game, right? But if it were to be in the right deck, or in the Blitz deck, excuse me, you would have access to it when you would need it, right? Obviously, if your opponent were to OT prior to you being grade 3, that would be unfortunate, but you'd still have access to Sanctitude in that scenario, right? You'd still have that ability. And then in worst case, it would still be a 25k shield, which is a decent amount of shield, right? The Blitz deck still follows order restrictions, so you would only be able to play 1 Blitz order per turn. You're still not able to stack them. Obviously, these rules aren't set in stone. These are just a concept that I have come up with. Me and Kat have discussed this quite a bit, and I think that this would be an incredible addition. So those are the generic options, right, for just any deck. I do believe that pretty much every deck would play Quick Shield, Elementaria Sanctitude, and Evergreen Transfer, and then your grade 2 would be where your deck would get its flair. But obviously, in the future, right, if this were to be implemented, Bushiroad could do incredible things, give every nation a grade 0 Blitz order that does added effects, or maybe something better than Evergreen Transfer. Or if a blitz order is so incredible that it just says, no, I'd rather just play the 4 PG in deck than play Sanctitude in there, you know, they could definitely do something interesting with it. I do believe that this thing has a lot of potential, right? And I think that if Bushiroad wanted to implement this, they wouldn't have to do any rules changes, anything like that, right? They would just be able to implement this and use it without really having to do many ruling issues and things like that. Obviously, I don't know everything that goes on behind the board with Bushiroad, but I do believe this would be a pretty easy implementation, right? Maybe you could try this out at locals and see what you think. Talk about it with your play group, test it out. I think it'd be very interesting. I do think that this could be an incredible thing for us to gain access to. This gives us the ability to play defensive options without having to make our deck more slow, or having to play bricks that we don't really want to play, because I know that is the mentality of most players, right? I know that we're all, you know, very greedy, very like, no, there's no reason to play defensive choices because I just want to kill my opponent as quickly as possible, and your opponent wants to do that as well. So I'm not going to play any bricks, right? I'm not going to play blitz orders because, you know, whatever. Like, the only one they play is Elementary Sanctitude, but that's because it literally goes, it is just a PG, right? It replaces a slot of something that's already there without taking up any other extra slots. But I do think this is a very cool concept, and I do think that we could expand on it, explore on it. But with that, I'll leave you. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Maybe we could somehow get this idea to Bushiroad, and that would be incredible if we could maybe implement this for the game as a whole. Maybe we get more blitz orders in the future, right? That would be incredible. But thank you for watching.